Do you want to be a rogue that's focused entirely on range combat, electric damage, and getting huge weak point numbers? Does the thought of melee make you want to flip backwards and launch off a lightning bolt arrow to someone's face? Do you want to get off huge combo explosions and spread shocking debilitations to your unfortunate Swiss cheese looking enemies? Well, the shocking Veilranger build might be just for you. So in this video, I'll go through everything you need to know to get this build up and running right from the beginning all the way to end game. I'll go through your character and your companion's skills, abilities, gears, and enchantments, as well as explain how it all works in practice. So buckle up. First, a reminder that I'm celebrating being close to 250k subscribers by giving away a ton of prizes. If you want to be in the running to win a 4090 console of your choice or other prizes, follow the link below and keep an eye out on this video for the purple code word.
I'm Commander Shepard, and Dantix is my favorite channel on the Citadel.
You don't get the discount.
What?
So first, let's look at the skill tree, which will give you an idea of what's important to this build and how it works. Starting with the middle, we want to aim for Reeling Bolt as fast as we can. This is a projectile tool ability that uses a cooldown instead of momentum, which means we'll be using it as a mostly oh shit button for when someone gets in close and we need to dodge an attack and get some distance, as casting any ability gives you invulnerability while the animation plays out, and it also applies weakness, which lowers their damage. Taash can also detonate this weakened effect when you need a combo explosion. This also sucks targets towards its area of impact and applies the shocked status, which our build loves to apply. Shock does damage over time depending on how many stacks are on the target. The whole build will primarily use electric damage, so this obviously helps. Now, after Reeling Bolt, we want to head up. Yes, up, as the Veilranger Specialization will be locked until level 20. The goal is to get an absolutely core rogue skill, some motivation, which is used in every single build. It gives you 4% bonus damage to everything per your maximum arrow count. We have a maximum of 18 arrows on this build, giving us a huge 72% bonus damage. Now you can see why it's worth the trip. So until we get to level 20, we want to pick up some useful greater passives along the way. I'll go through them all later. First, you'll be unlocking your second ability, Lightning Quiver, a projectile control ability that costs 1 momentum pip and deals high electric damage. It's quick to fire, meaning that it's a bit more scrappy than your third skill, which I'll talk about soon. It hits multiple times, triggering a few of your passives more often. However, we can now unlock the Veilranger Specialization, and when you do, you'll get the ultimate Twin Gifts of Alethan, which summons 2 orbs that fly around hitting targets. After you've buffed yourself with skills and gear, this won't do a whole lot for you, but it's a nice amount of bonus damage and disruption, as it knocks around enemies a bit and keeps you safe. Next is our third and primary skill, Storm's Path. It's an area projectile ability, so keep that in mind as we'll be buffing both these keywords. It takes a moment to charge up, making you invulnerable, then it fires off a powerful electric attack that pierces through all targets in the area for a much bigger AoE than it actually seems, especially after we get some key passives. It also detonates Overwhelmed, which we'll be getting Taash to apply often, passively and actively. It costs 1 momentum pip, so yes, when we have momentum, we want to be casting this as often as possible. We then get every passive we can in the Veilranger Specialization, keeping in mind some are locked until level 30, so revisit this area once you hit that level. Compound Bow adds your bow's damage to your projectile abilities, and all your abilities are projectiles. Lightning Splash makes it so Storm's Path always applies shocked. Sniper's Triumph increases the number of arrows that you fire after getting a weak point hit, aka a headshot in most cases. Storm's Call makes it so maximum shock stacks on a target makes them burst for electric damage in an AoE. So some great passives for the build are, from the far left, Conductive Shot, which makes all of your abilities deal bonus electric damage, Knockout, which makes charge attacks always crit against enemies 30% max health or lower, Archer's Strength makes your abilities deal bonus damage to those 20 meters away from you, and Underdog's Bite grants you enhanced damage for a limited time when you hit 3 or more targets with your Storm's Path. So then get Breathing Room 1 and 2 to increase Storm Path's AoE to ridiculous broken levels. Now it'll hit essentially everywhere on the screen no matter where you aim. Eclectic Armorer gives us more max ammos, which is damage because of some motivation, as well as bonus damage and stagger. Since we'll be using a medium helm and light armor, this gives us a nice damage boost. There are more greater passives and all essentially work to increase your damage. This is what the build does, increase damage and worry about being hit if it's ever hit. So I mentioned gear, let's take a look to see how it all pieces together. The items needed are mostly regular items upgraded to legendary, meaning you can find them out in the world and in vendors as commons, and by finding or buying duplicates you upgrade its rarity. Melee weapons aren't at all important for this build, but focal blades add stats that we can use outside of melee, as once I upgrade it, it'll make it so shocked reduces the enemy's resistances to electric damage, which just so happens to be our primary damage type. I wanted to use the Azure Great Bow because it's just all around good, but shoot to upgrade the Dauntless Great Bow instead. It deals added electric damage, increases the electric damage you do across the board, but most importantly, deals an increased 10% bonus damage per remaining arrow. So when you have 17 arrows after firing one, that one shot will get a bonus 170% electric damage, which is massive. Considering how quickly you regenerate arrows, you'll be hitting like a truck. The legendary upgrade also makes it so you chain lightning when you hit enemies with 3 or more shock stacks, which will happen a lot. Now we need to use a different weighted helm and armor piece for the Electric Armorer passive, so I went with Defiant Silence. Since we'll be critically hitting a lot, it will increase crit damage, as well as increase our chance to crit. Wanderer's Longcoat has high ability damage naturally, and a boost to electric damage. The Jumper's Binding Belt increases electric damage and deals electric damage around us when we heal. Token of True Flight increases projectile damage, which all of our abilities are. You also gain back momentum if targets are 15 meters away, and when they crit, you deal 50% of your weak point damage added to it, which is insane. It's a multiplier on a multiplier. The Veil Ring adds a lot of electric damage, and Graven Opal adds range damage, weak point damage, which then applies to crit, and on weak point hit, gets you extra momentum. As you can see, there are a lot of ways between skills and gear to gain momentum fast to keep spamming Storm's path. Then we have runes. Bombard is your main rune, as it gives you bonus arrows and slows down time, though anything that increases your damage is key here. In terms of enchantments, I went for added electric damage, area damage, weapon damage, charged damage, max arrows, and shocked damage, though get what you feel will benefit you at your current level. But the build is not yet complete. You have to see your companions as an extension of you. This build's no-brainer is Ballara, as she can apply shocked and reduce your target's resistance to electric. You also want either Davrin or Taash. I went with Taash because she can apply the overwhelmed effect more often than Davrin. So jumping into Ballara skill tree, you want to use her to support. First, you want to equip Time Slow and upgrade it after the other skills. It lets you slow down time and line up perfect headshots fully charged. Fully charging is the way to go with the Veilranger, and it's a lot easier when things aren't moving around and attacking you. You want to pick up Galvanized Tear as well, upgrading it all the way to Displacement. This will create an AoE effect that disrupts enemies and clumps them together, making them easy pickings for your Storm's path. It also happens to apply Shocked every second, and we know what happens when enemies get maximized Shocked stacks. It's more electric damage. It's always more electric damage. Finally, you want to get her Replenish ability and upgrade it with the Contingency passive. This will mean she'll automatically heal you when you get low, great for when you take accidental hits. Her Hero of the Veilguard passive here, Lingering Strike, is the worst of the two choices for the build, but due to spoiler reasons I can't explain why I didn't go back and change it. You get a choice after each companion set of missions, and one of the choices gets you this passive and armor, which I'll show soon. For more information though, check out my companion video. So the passive you want is Chain Lightning. Ballara's weapon attacks are now Chain Lightning against shocked enemies, and shocked is stronger across the board. She also gets the armor Reborn Leathers, which applies shock to all enemies hit by detonations, which you'll be getting off a lot with Taash. Her bow can also apply electric vulnerability when you get her to attack my target. Her ring increases the amount of shock stacks, and Trinket gives you a free revival. Now, the reason I want Taash is because of out of all the companions, she most quickly and easily applies Overwhelmed with her ability Spit Fire. It's on a low cooldown, but with Spreading Weakness, another version on a separate cooldown will fire off passively as she fights. And since your Storm's path is AoE, you'll most of the time be hitting 2 overwhelmed enemies, making it very potent. You also want Dragonfire Strike, as you have an on cooldown weakness applier, so having a way to detonate that effect is nice for when you don't have momentum to spend. This is considering Bellara makes all your detonations apply shocked. Last, you want to max out Dragon's Roar, for an oh shit get off me button when you're in trouble. It will taunt enemies, making them attack the damage immune Taash. With the passive Insult to Injury, she'll also increase the shocked stacks on targets with her taunt. Get what you want for her Hero of the Veilguard passives and armor, as well as her gear, as it's less important for this build. The same goes for your companion's enchantments. So how does this build work? Well, you want to first assess the situation. Are there a lot of range characters you need to get rid of first? Well, snipe them down. Just make sure you get in range because your bow has a maximum. You could also set Taash up to Spitfire and then you to Storm's Path to begin the fight with a bang. Though if you have 0 momentum stored, you can Reeling Bolt first to spread some weakness and have Taash detonate it. Then you can use Time Slow to start piling on some damage before letting loose a Storm's Path. If enemies get close, Lightning Quiver is useful, or Reeling Bolt if it's off cooldown to dodge hits. You can also add damage with your ultimate or use it for the temporary invulnerability. It goes without saying, but you never want to be in melee, so keep dodging and finding opportunities to charge your bow shots. You want to charge to at least the first stage and get those headshots. If you can't achieve headshots consistently, your damage will be gimped. Feel free to use Bellara to group enemies up when you're confident you won't be taking damage. So that's everything. What do you think of the build? Let me know below. If you like this kind of content, let me and the algorithm know. For everything RPG and Dragon Age, you're in the right place. Ciao friends.